everybody. This is Ananda Devi, and this evening I want to talk about the Enneagram Type 7. The sevens are referred to as the enthusiast, and that means exactly what it says. They are fun-loving people who love to explore, love to feel stimulated, tend to jump from one activity to the next, find it difficult to stay still, both internally and externally. These are the type of people who are always looking for the next thing to do, more cake, more fun, more trips, more shopping. The 7 is the prototype, basically, in all of us that just does not want to feel any form of boredom or emptiness or sadness or darkness at all. And the 7 tends to either, if they're very, very unconscious, pretend that the fear that lurks beneath the surface doesn't exist. Remembering that the 5s and the 6s and the 7s are from the thinking and planning triad. So fear lurks beneath the surface, and each of those types deal with a fear in different ways. For example, the 5 avoids fear by isolating themselves. The 6 overdoes their fear, a tendency towards a lot of anxiety, sometimes depression, and the 7 just underdoes their fear. So they pretend it doesn't really exist. And they do this by keeping themselves solidly busy and happy all of the time. What the 7 has to realize is that this gluttony, and gluttony is really the word that they refer to in the Enneagram as really the word that best depicts what the 7 tends to do, this more and more mentality. They are incredibly self-referencing people. 7s, unlike the 1s, the 9s, and the 8s, know themselves very well. They know what they want. They know their personalities, and they're very apt at getting what they want. Excellent networkers, excellent at sales. They can literally sell ice to an Eskimo. I always say to 7s that if they're in any kind of selling industry, they're going to do phenomenally well. They're amazing in that way. They are not really, the thing with 7s is sometimes they can be seen as being lightweights. In other words, the capacity to really go deep, to really sit in any kind of darkness is something they really dislike doing. So they jump around a lot. They don't like to just be still with the moment, be still with whatever presents itself to them. So the gluttony is also the kind of the deadly sin, and each Enneagram has one. The constant movement towards more and more stimulation and more activity is like being on a hamster wheel, and it lands up doing the opposite. You know, when you're always running away from misery, or always running away from your pain, or running away from what's really going on, you land up causing more problems in the long run. Because ultimately, being a whole person and being able to accept life the way it is and other people the way they are is accepting the light and the dark. 7s have a difficulty with the darkness. And that's the prototype in all of us that has a difficulty accepting the things in life that we don't want to look at, that seem sad, bad, or dark. They really are representative of that style of being that we all have in us, but a 7 really has this in them. That's why they're the enthusiast. Let's talk a little bit here about the subtypes. A self-preservation 7. That 7 is kind of like the playgirl, playboy type. Really spiritual, really even religious, not into that really. They really are about their survival, getting their needs met, and they tend to view relationships as a good investment. They're excellent at networking and getting what they want. What all 7s have to see is how they actually are able to manipulate people, because by being so likable, so fun-loving, and so easy to get along with, they use that amazing part of their natures to get exactly what they want when they want it. 7s know what they want, and they know how to get what they want. The self-preservation does this by basically networking with the right people, playing a very important role within the family. This is how they get their needs met. And they're very fun, like playgirlish, playboyish. That's the self-preservation type. The social 7 is an interesting, because it's a person, because they kind of like the counter type, because the gluttony is used to not seem gluttonous. So they can seem very like Puritans, very much into, for example, the New Age movement. And there are two words that 7s need to really look at, and that is idealization and rationalization. They have an incredible capacity to idealize, especially with a social 7. They can idealize ideas, they can idealize teachers, they can idealize concepts, and then they can rationalize their idealizations. For an example, if I tell a 7 student to meditate, they can rationalize why meditation isn't for them, when in fact meditation is something that each 7, more than most other types, really has to do, because they are almost incapable of just remaining still, remaining here. Meditation helps them create the balance that they so desperately need. The idealization that a 7 has, because this need in them is to be so enthusiastic and happy all the time, they tend to view others or the group activity they're involved in through rose-colored glasses. They see it the way they want to see it. They view reality the way they want to view it versus the way it is, or what actually is. In other words, mostly everybody and everything has got two sides. There's a wonderful side to them, and then there can be a not so wonderful side. But the 7s don't want to acknowledge any kind of badness or wrongness, so they can be very innocent and naive in that way. The sexual 7 is really prone to this within their relationships. They tend to idealize this perfect love or this perfect person, to the point that they really don't see the problems in their relationship clearly, or the person clearly. An awakening for a 7 means the ability to sit with their feelings the way they arise. The ability to get bored and be bored, and let that be an exercise for them. To just sit with things without needing to jump off and do the very next thing, or buy the next crystal, or go to the next satsang. Just be with yourself. 7s find it tremendously difficult to do this. And then they rationalize why they can't do it. And then they can also be extremely indecisive. And often they just can't really make, it can show itself by not being able to make a full commitment. Even in a relationship, in other words, or in work in some ways. In other words, if I commit to this way, maybe I'll miss out on another way, because they are so afraid they're going to miss out on something fun and stimulating, instead of really exploring within what it is that they truly want and what really is meaningful to them, and really losing the idealization and the constant need to rationalize. It's very important for them to see things clearly the way they truly are. In Jungian terms, the 7s like the divine child. It's that child that never really wants to grow up. What I will say about 7s is that they are really fun to hang out with. They're incredibly cool people, always there for a good time. They are, I just love them. I love them as people because they're so much fun. They've got great senses of humor. The self-preservation is a super earthy, down-to-earth, really great person. They all are. They're all great people. And their joy is wonderful. People feel that joy around a 7. So it's always fun to be with the enthusiast. It's funny, I always say to students, we all could use a little bit of 7, because the 7's way of being is very, very cool for manifesting, getting yourself into that cool, happy feeling and manifesting from that place. But the only person it doesn't work for is the 7, because the 7s are doing this naturally. So they have to move into quite the opposite way of really sitting with things that aren't necessarily joyous, so that they can evolve past the fear of being bored and the fear of the emptiness and the fear of reality as it truly is. Anyway, that's my small talk today on the 7s. I love this Enneagram type. I truly, truly do. I hope it helped. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and send this to 7s if you know any. I'm sure we all know many 7s. They're awesome. And I'll see you guys soon, where we talk about the Enneagram type 6. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, and I love you.